Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will come to order. We're going to start with, first of all, I'd like to welcome our newest member, Mr. Van Streen. How are you?
Good.
Good. Welcome.
Welcome.
And don't let us scare you away. Okay, and after that, do we have any excused absences?
Yes, Brooke Oosterman, Troy Butler, and Jeff Edwards let us know they would not be here today.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Can I have a motion to excuse those members, please?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Great. Okay, do we have any conflict of interest on the agenda today?
I have a conflict on item 3.
And item number 3. Okay, so noted. Thank you. And then we're going to open it up for public comment at this time. If there's anybody who would like to talk to us, you'll have an opportunity, I believe, no? If anything's on the agenda, you have the opportunity to talk to us now. No? Okay. All right, we'll close that. And then can I get a motion to approve the minutes of December 11th, please?
So moved. Support.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Okay, we have financial statements. Can I get a motion to approve the interim financial statements as of December 31st?
I'll move.
Support.
Okay, no, that comes later. Go ahead.
Good morning. The statements as of December 31st are in your packet. It was a pretty routine month, not a whole lot of expenditures happening in November and December. We had paid out the majority of the summer tax developer reimbursements already. Just 2 of them were paid in November and December. That's on your Statement C, which serves as your warrant, which is what I would ask for approval for. But I'm happy to take any questions on the balance sheet or the revenue and expenditure statements.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. And now please review the Brownfield audit. The Brownfield audit.
Good morning again. Also in your packet is the audited financial statements as of June 30. The city as a whole, as well as the Brownfield Authority, received a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the highest and best opinion that the auditors can give. There was no issues with getting information. There was no disagreements with management. We were able to get the auditors all the information they needed so that they could go through and, do their job. So I'm happy to take any questions on the statements. I know the statements themselves in the audit are not super user-friendly. You don't get a whole lot of detail. We're very much guided by GASB regulations as well as state requirements for how these things are reported, so they can compare apples to apples across all different authorities. So that is, a requirement of how we need our statements, but I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Okay. Anyone have questions about the audit? No? Congratulations. It's not easy to get that high of a rating.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Our action items. With the first one we're going to do, I need a motion for election of officers for the calendar year 2025.
I'll move the motion.
Support.
I need a motion. Oh, you're going to go with the one that was in the packet?
Sorry, Madam Chair. Yes, the slate that was presented in the packet.
Okay, all right.
Or did you moved it and then I supported it? Okay. That was what my intention was.
And yours also, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're done with that.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I just add thank you to yourself and Christine, who are both here, and then obviously Jeff and Troy, who are not, but we know that is some additional work and some extra meetings, and so just appreciate that. And then Kyle just be on deck for, an officer position. We'll just let you know that right now. No, just kidding.
Right.
He has experience, no. I think it's always, even as we're, approving the officers for today, I think it's, we start thinking about what does that look like for the next year? And I know all of you who elected to serve again had also said, if there's others who are willing, we're very open to, communicating and making sure that's the transition. And so just to be able to think about that probably in the mid-year, so then we're not here at these final meetings thinking about it. So thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, we have a resolution to approve and recommend a Brownfield plan amendment for the M Village redevelopment at 1865 Eastern and 716 Elliott Southeast. Can I have a motion, please?
Support.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So what you have before you this morning is a request to support the M Village project, which is being proposed by Messiah Baptist Church. And the project is anticipated to take place in 2 phases. The first phase being the demolition of the existing structures, as well as the construction of 10 new duplexes for a total of 20 units that will be available for sale. The second phase, that's really not kind of subject to this plan, but wanted to note, is a multifamily building that will have up to 51 apartments. And the development team is anticipating asking for support via a pilot as well as LIHTC funding for that project. Of the 20 units, it's anticipated that 2 units will be priced for households earning at or below 60% AMI, 8 units priced at 80% AMI, and 10 units priced at 120% AMI. The total project costs are estimated to be $7.8 million, with about $6 million of construction costs. The development team is seeking $5.2 million, or roughly $5.2 million in reimbursement for Brownfield eligible activities. That includes site preparation, public infrastructure improvements, and housing development activities, which most notable of those is the potential development loss, which we've talked a lot about here at this board, but really the difference between what it costs to build and what they will sell the unit for. The development is expected to be reimbursed for a period of 25 years, but the plan will remain in place for the full 30 years with 5 years of capture for the LBRF. Another kind of important thing to mention on this project that's really exciting is that this project is located in the Southtown Corridor Improvement Authority boundary. There, unfortunately, the capture for the Brownfield would typically not be very much in a situation like that. So what we did to help facilitate this project is us and the development team, we went to the Southtown CIA and asked for their approval of an intent to pass through their revenues to the Brownfield Authority in support of this project. They reviewed that at their December meeting and voted in favor, which is really exciting. We've done this with the DDA a couple of times, but this is the first time that a CIA has really invested in a project at this scale. So it's really exciting stuff on this one. And then lastly, I wanted to mention the inclusion plan. So the development team has set a goal of 35% or $2.1 million of the construction costs for MBE, WBE, and MLBE subcontractors. And I also just wanted to acknowledge something on this project that's really neat, I think, is a year ago at this meeting, this was your very first emerging developer project that came before you. It came back again in the summer for a second grant and is now coming before you as a project, which is really exciting. And I think it's a really great milestone for that program that you guys set in place last year. And with that, I'm going to ask Deborah Cross if she's here. No? Okay, Aaron Yonker. We're going to have Aaron Yonker come up and share some info about the project.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I am a poor substitute for Deborah in the church, but I will do my best today. I believe the weather must have held her up a little bit. So, yes, thank you. As Jess said, this is our 3rd time here with the project. I've been working with the church for a couple of years, approximately, to get this project moving. Very excited about this. If you recall, the church really set it upon themselves a couple years ago to try to make a difference in housing in our community and try to help solve some of the housing challenges that we see in our community. And as a as the purest definition of stepping out on faith, they went ahead and purchased this property a couple years ago, and we're excited to be here to talk about what's planned for it. So we have these 20 duplexes that are before you today with this funding, and then the multifamily piece that'll be coming up a little bit, just lagging behind a little bit. But happy to answer any questions that you have about the application.
Questions? I just have one. Is there any changes to what we've seen a few times before? Sounds like it's pretty similar to what.
Yeah, I think so. I think the each step. So the first couple steps when we were here, we were using those funds that were awarded to kind of get to this point. So I think that there probably have been, as we've gone through, there have probably been some slight layout changes and things as we work through city staff and gone through the planning process. But generally speaking, the project has been approximately this the entire time. Yes.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, all right. Okay, I'm going to call the vote on this one. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much for your time and bracing the weather. Okay, our third action item is a resolution approving and recommending the Brownfield Plan Amendment and approving an emergency developer grant for West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce headquarters development at 1101 Godfrey Southwest. And as stated earlier, our esteemed board member has a conflict with this one, so we'll let staff, or can I get a motion for this one, please? Thank you. I need support. Thank you.
All right. So this next project, as Lynn mentioned, is being proposed by the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and as proposed would include the demolition of an existing obsolete building for the construction of a new 12,600 square foot two-story building that will serve as the headquarters for the West Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Total project investment is estimated to be $9.3 million, with approximately $6.9 million in construction costs. The development team is requesting reimbursement from the Brownfield Authority for up to $513,450 for traditional brownfield activities, including demolition, asbestos abatement, site preparation, and public infrastructure improvements. The Brownfield plan is expected to remain in place for the full 30 years again, and with the last 5 years being reserved for LBRF capture. The development team is also seeking a $200,000 emerging developer grant and has provided a scope of work to staff for review, which I think is included in your memo there, to fund some of their pre-development costs, including architecture and civil engineering costs. The Hispanic Chamber does meet the policy, the LBRF policy definition of an emerging developer. So they own this property, they will maintain ownership, and they are being supported by Honor Construction on this project. And then on the inclusion plan piece, another really great addition to this. So the total goal is estimated at 30%, or just over $2 million of the total construction costs on this project. So now I'm going to ask Brad Lackman from Honor Construction, Kaylee Moreno from the Hispanic Chamber, and Elizabeth Masserang from SME to come up and share some additional information for you.
Good morning. Congratulations, Kyle, on the new position. Yes, I'm not going to speak as well as Guillermo will about the passionate project he's been working on for 5 or 6 years. But yeah, 12,000 square foot, two-story new building that will be built in the on the Godfrey area there. We're very excited about it. It's going to be a hub for the Hispanic Chamber and for the community. So there'll be a lot of community access for training rooms to events to there's a little kitchen, and there's a lot of really exciting things that will have a home here at the Hispanic Chamber's new headquarters. So I could go on and on, but you guys please ask questions and we'll have the answers for one of the three of us.
Okay. Questions from the board? Okay.
I will say that it's true. Honor Construction is the owner's rep for the project. I sit on the board for the Hispanic Chamber. But Earhart will be the general contractor and Rossetti is the architect we've been working with for years.
Go ahead. Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. And I think sometimes when we don't have questions, it's not because we're not interested, but we have, have been hearing about some of these projects, probably some of us independently or through that. So it's exciting to see that continued development in this corridor. Obviously, this authority had one of the transformational Brownfield projects, of Factory Yards last year. 18 months ago. So it's good to see that. I know we'll have construction that will be occurring in this corridor as well that we talked about at a community development meeting for the city, just to make sure, how are we connecting all of this development that's happening and really trying to limit the, perhaps like inaccessibility of certain areas so that people can be excited to move into the building.
Sure.
Can you just do a quick review of the time frame? So I know obviously the capture here and then also the emerging developer, but what does the time frame look of different, starts and then ultimately the opening of the building or, best estimate, let me say. I won't hold you to that, Brad.
Earhart's not here, so I can guarantee dates, and they'll be really happy about that. So the 100% biddable construction documents are going to be available within the next 20 to 30 days. So we've been working on that since since September-ish, probably, if not before that. So we'll get those documents and put it out to bid through February and March. It's kind of the time frame to break ground in mid to late March, and then we're shooting to be finished within the year 2025. So that's the goal, is to have it finished before the new year, 2026. So that's tentative right now. We had a great turnout for some subcontractor pre-qualification meetings with the Hispanic community, and really great turnout, upwards of almost 40 subcontractors we've not seen before that showed up, got pre-qualified, excited about the project, Hispanic-owned subcontractors. So we've been preparing them for these dates and getting them ready for bidding on the project also.
I'll just add one other thing too, even though it's obviously part of this authority, but being the community that we are, great to hear about some new subs and other contractors that you haven't seen before. A reminder to continue to look at, we have a Michigan CDFI coalition, obviously, not obviously, but I lead one as well, but there is certainly alternate financing available for those. So I'd hate to see people maybe not opt into the project if there is a financing or equipment concern. So if there's any way that we could be helpful with that, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
That's great.
That's awesome.
And we have a 30% goal. We plan to surpass that, but that was a conservative estimate that we put out there. There's just so much interest in it with great diverse contractors. We're going to really do well with that.
Great. Awesome. Anybody else have questions on this project? Like you said, we kind of have a little bird that talks to us in our ear about these things. So I think we know a lot more than we would about other projects. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you guys.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't easy to get here this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'm just going to wait for our board member to come back in. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I noticed the representative from the church on our second agenda item did make it. I appreciate you getting through this weather. Sorry we were a little efficient this morning, but congratulations. Good luck. Thank you. Okay, our item number 4 is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the local Brownfield revolving fund grant agreement for the Rise Lofts project located at 1506 Cesar Chavez Avenue, Southwest. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay, great.
All right. So again, as Lynn mentioned, this is an amendment to an existing LBRF agreement for an emerging developer grant. So very similar to what we did with the M Village project. The Reyes family came before you back at your September meeting and asked for an emerging developer grant for $41,500 for some sort of initial documents, including conceptual site plans, a survey, some ESAs, as well as a facility conditions assessment. And so now we're kind of entering into a phase 2 request, which would cover site planning, a brownfield plan preparation, as well as some pre-construction consulting that includes things like pro forma development, just to kind of help get the project moving forward. So the second phase grant is a request of $105,000, which would make the total ask in the agreement $121,500. So that's the request before you. And then I just would like to ask Josh and Maria Reyes, as well as Kurt Reppert, to just come up and talk a little bit about progress and kind of next steps on this project.
Awesome.
Good morning, everybody. Just going to excuse my mom. She had back surgery about 6 weeks ago.
Oh.
So she's here because this means a lot to her. But I'll be speaking on her behalf. So, as the project developer, we are excited to share some updates regarding Phase 1 funding you all provided for us for this project. The following is a brief summary of findings and updates. Thank you to Fishbeck for completing the bulk of this work. The hazardous materials inspection findings are consistent with what is typical for a building of this age, constructed in 1912. Identified materials will require remediation and proper disposal prior to construction to meet safety and environmental standards. No current safety risk. Phase 1 environmental site assessment. No recognized environmental conditions identified, RECs. No historical RECs or controlled RECs. No significant data gaps. Conclusion, no further environmental assessment is warranted. The Alta site survey, no significant findings or encroachments affecting development or ownership. Conclusion on that is easements are a standard for urban properties and do not hinder development. And then conceptual planning, completed a LiDAR scan, which aided in the development of accurate conceptual drawings. Finalized the conceptual floor plans and facade rendering, confirming the original program plan and increasing the unit count from 25 to 34. That's comprised of 23 studios, 11 one-bedroom units, and 1 commercial unit. And finally, we just want to say thank you for approving the Phase 1 funding for our project. Your support has been instrumental in confirming the viability of this development and has positioned us to move confidently into the next phase. The upcoming stage of funding will allow us to achieve site plan approval and, Lord willing, bring this project to loan closing, construction, and ultimately welcoming residents into their new homes. We're deeply grateful for your partnership and trust in this vision, and we look forward to continuing this journey together. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Just a couple of updates from us. I'm here with our team. So my name's Kurt with Collective Ventures. My partner, John Van Kulen. You can see we got the memo to wear the same outfit today. Peter Scornia from Sella Building Group's our other partner. He's not able to make it this morning, but Landon Jones is the construction partner from Quantum Construction in the back, and Rachel from Fishbeck helped us make these pretty pictures a reality. So we're kind of following, for this one, we're following the playbook of M Village because that was the first emerging developer grant that came to this body. This program is such a great program. We really believe that it's going to stimulate a lot of projects like this that wouldn't necessarily get off the ground but need this extra love on the front end. This one is no exception. I think that since we came to you before, the thing that is most exciting is that we were able, working with Fishbeck, add a density of 11 additional units on the project. So it now is a 34 unit and 1 retail project. We also were able to get a letter of support from Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association and the South Division Cesar Chavez Corridor Improvement Authority. So we've done some work to bring some folks along with the project as well. But then we have to, similar to M Village, we hope that we'll be back in the future to present the full project to you, but this phase is to get it to site approval and to take care of those remaining details to get that approval that we need. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have, but this is very similar process to how M Village rolled out. With our next one, it's a little bit different, but because we're next on the agenda too.
Oh, you are, yeah. Okay, are there any questions on this development? No? Anybody else? Okay. Did you want to go over the, I think we talked a little bit about the funding, where the funding's coming from on this?
Yeah, so it's, the emerging developer grants come from the local Brownfield revolving fund. So it's the prioritization, I think, priority 2 out of in your policy for the fund.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all right. If there's no question, oh, you do have a question?
I just have a quick question about it. This is such an exciting program, and thank you for sharing about where the funding comes from. Do we have a cap every year on how much we spend, or are we going to get to the end of the year and not be able to support others? I'm just curious how we plan on dispersing that.
Yeah, so when we put it in place, we didn't set a cap. I think at the time we weren't sure how much it was going to be used or anything like that. It's really exciting that it's been used as much as it has. I think we approved 5 or 6 grants in '24 for about $800,000 of support, which is awesome. I think we're in the middle of budget season, so I think we have to kind of look at how it's shaking out so far against what we have in the LBRF, and it's possible that we might have to consider that in the future to make sure that we can use it as much as possible and get as many projects as possible. But I think, I don't want to speak for Sarah, but maybe that's a policy discussion that you all can have here in the coming months, just figuring out, ESA as a priority, is this still a priority, and kind of hone in on those things. So at this point, no, there's no cap on the amount. I think we've kind of set maybe an unofficial cap on a grant of about $200,000. That seems to be the sweet spot based on other projects that we've seen come forward. But in terms of a cap on the amount of projects or funds, we don't have that at this time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a requirement to have a match? I noticed in the last one where the applicant, I think it was about $24,000 or $25,000, was in their column, and others it might be different. Is that required as well?
There isn't a match required, but we tried, so there are specific things that, based on the sort of the approved document for this program that all of us have chosen to support with the program. Obviously, there's more costs associated on the pre-development side than what this program funds, so we try to sort of highlight that when we know that information, but there isn't a requirement for a match at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, if there are no more questions, all in favor of the motion to approve this? Aye. Opposed? Okay, great, thank you. Our next one, approving an emerging developer grant in the amount not to exceed $149,000 for the Treetops Collective Project located at 1002 Division Southeast, or Southeast. Thank you. Okay.
All right. So this is, again, a request for another emerging developer grant for an amount not to exceed $149,000. So this is to support the Treetops Collective project to be located at 1002 Division Avenue South. So this, as you can see in this little red box here on your screen, that's the property that we're talking about. So it's currently a vacant lot. And so the current proposed project is to construct a new 5-story mixed-use building with ground ground floor commercial space, and then apartments on the upper floors. Pre-development services that are part of this grant request include conceptual design and pro forma development, geotechnical analysis, environmental site assessments, site planning, surveying, and then some pre-development consulting, including pro forma development, and then the Brownfield plan amendment development as well. So again, similar to the last project, there is a thought that this is going to come back before you in the future for consideration of a Brownfield plan. And then at this point, I'm going to ask Tara Carnahan, I hope I got that right, okay, from Treetops, and then Kurt Reppert again to speak on this one.
Good morning. I didn't expect to find so much hopefulness in this room this morning so early, but I'm thankful to be here. We are an organization that is committed to developing a more cross-cultural community here in Grand Rapids. We have been working on South Division for the past 8 years, investing into new American leaders, rebuilding social fabric, and connecting people into meaningful ways to live out their values around welcome. And we, in the last 3 years, have developed our own property at 906 Division, where we've renovated and created a cross-cultural community center, a cafe, a retail store, a place for peer-based support groups, and we have 6 apartments upstairs that we've been renting out since 2018 through a partnership with ICCF. So while we have never developed a new project like this, we have a little bit of experience and have really focused on, as Melinda was talking about, the subcontractor piece. We were able to put a lot of our funding for this last project into the hands of refugee owners. So with this project, we're really excited about the kind of ecosystem that we could build on South Division to create meaningful housing opportunities for people who are newcomers, as well as people who have been here a bit longer and looking to create connections across cultures. We believe that investing in this particular space matters, and that we can do some collaboration with local organizations like the Literacy Center and bring more services on site. We know transportation is a major issue in people accessing services, and so the more that we can bring to this particular place, we think it will create a vibrant part of that neighborhood. And I will let Kurt take it. One more thing. We also have a HUD grant that we were granted, and it came about 2.5 years after we had asked. And so we had finished our first renovation. And so we're really excited about ways in which we can leverage that for this project. But in order to identify how to do that, we really need the expertise of this whole team to be able to bring out this conception, to be able to see the pro forma and see how that will impact the organization at large.
Great.
Great, thank you again. Before I start, Signee Jordan texted me, and it has actually reminded me that it's the Granville South Division CIA, which I should know because I served on it the whole time I was a commissioner. But I said that wrong, and she texted me right away. She's like, that's not the right answer. I also do want to, this is just Elisa's last meeting, and she's been so great on both of these projects as well as the other ones that we're working on, so thank you. And we'll miss you, but we'll see you around, I'm sure. A couple things about this project. If you look at the map, that's the Candy DM on the corner, which is now renovated and partly owned by that restaurant. This is the parcel right next to it, which is vacant. One thing that Tara was going to share is that it was an out-of-state person who originally was going to try to buy this parcel to do something kind of a suburban single-story use on it. And so we like the idea of activating it with the vision of Treetops. Both of these projects, while I was a commissioner, are first ward projects that I think are worthy of consideration and ones that we're really excited about. We think that on the site we'll be able to get 39 units of housing in addition to the retail space on the first floor that Treetops will activate with the folks that they're working with. The development team is the same on this, so Sella Building Group, Collective Ventures, Quantum Construction, and Fishbeck. So we have the same team working on this. This one, we won't come back twice like we did with M&M Bakery. This will be just one request for Phase 1 and Phase 2. But we also believe that this is a project that we can get to site approval and we can see it come back and be a kind of a beacon of hope here on South Division. So I can tell you, I could say a few words about why even now it's more important to support new Americans and refugees, but this is a project that they already have 6 units of housing. They're managing that with ICCF, and we've met with the Housing Commission about placing some project-based vouchers in this building, which will help with the affordability. So those things need to be worked out later, but we are hoping that it will trend in that direction. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, I'd just like to say it's nice to see someone who's been in a position to understand how the city works, taking it back to the community and making it work. So thank you very much. Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm just here if you have questions.
Okay.
I just want to say congratulations, and this is a great opportunity to show others what we can do as a city, to be more welcoming of others, and really embrace who we have in our community, and providing housing. It's one of the most important pieces at this moment. So thank you.
Thank you. Yep, one more.
I also wanted to just say congratulations. We've worked really hard on the South Division corridor and doing all that, the planning behind infill development and seeing more housing to support the Silver Line. So it's really excellent to see that you're marrying that opportunity and continuing your work on South Division. So thank you.
All right, okay. If there are no other questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Our next is approving an this emerging developer thing is getting quite popular. Approving an emerging developer grant in the amount not to exceed $39,000 for a project located at 1163 Giddings Avenue Southeast. I need a motion. And supported. Okay.
All right. So this next emerging developer grant, so I've been working with this developer for a couple of years now, and this project has gone through the City Commission approval process for a 10-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate, and it's another project that's taking place in a couple of different phases. So the first phase is really the renovation of the existing single-story building and kind of rehabbing the existing commercial spaces. And then the developer would like to add a second story onto that building and add 8 apartments to it. So another smaller infill development here, which is great. And then lost my train of thought. The emerging developer grant here is covering sort of the phase 2 design piece of this. So including things like conceptual design, the environmental assessment, and then civil engineering and structural engineering to really make sure that that building can support that second story. So Ryan Cooper is the developer on this project, and he's owned this building for some time now and is really excited to get this project going. And he is being supported with some of the staff over at Rockford Construction on this project. So I'm going to ask Ryan to come up and share anything he'd like to on this one.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Like a lot of what Jess said, I've owned this property since I was 28 years old. Today I'm 45. I used to co-own it with another person, and we had a ice cream shop there. It went out of business due to COVID. We shut it down. It was just too much. We couldn't handle the financial woes of it, and just COVID put a big damper on it. So I recently bought the property out about a year ago from the person I co-owned it with. I got a loan already for the phase one of the development to put the commercial, to renovate the commercial. And like Jess said, I already got a Oprah grant, tax abatement, to help me make this project viable. So the building sat for about 3 years, so it's in need of some TLC. And that's pretty much it. Just looking for a little bit of assistance from the city of Grand Rapids to get this project moving, and ultimately put some apartments on there to add some housing and make this area more viable.
That's awesome. Sounds great. Anybody have questions? Do you have a timeline that you're hoping for? I know that's kind of out there, but.
Well, I was supposed to start the renovation of the commercial space last summer, but I kind of had to wait for the Oprah grant and the stuff like that to go through. So I've had the loan and stuff ready to attack this project for a while. I just kind of had to wait, and then the winter months kind of came, and
They do that.
yeah, and so I'm ready to really. I've got all the quotes for everything to do the commercial renovation. I just really have to make some calls and get the project going. I'm hoping to have the first phase done the beginning of spring.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
And hopefully move on to a phase two. And when I'm waiting for it to start the phase two, there's another grant from the state, the Build My Communities grant. I started the application process for that, and that grant recently went to like $350,000. So I'm really hoping to get that, and that would really help with the second phase of this project to add the second level and the eight apartments.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, sounds great. Anybody? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming out this morning.
Thank you for having me today. Yep.
Okay. If there are no other questions, can I get just all those in favor of this project? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Our next is a resolution authorizing the execution of a local Brownfield revolving fund grant agreement for the 2017 Eastern Avenue Southeast project. Excuse me.
So moved.
Thank you.
Sorry, you guys get to listen to me all meeting this time. So this project is another really exciting one that staff is excited to bring forward. So we've been working on this for, I would say, 3 to 4 years at this point. And so it's exciting to see it kind of move forward. So the previous owner of this property, wanted to do a project here. It was included initially in our MEDC RAP 1.0 application, subgrant application. And then again in the RAP 2.0, the project didn't end up occurring in that first phase. So we included it in our RAP 2.0. So there's a grant in that grant fund for about $1 million, or just over $1 million, to support the project. In that time, since we submitted our RAP application to the MEDC and got approval, the ownership has changed on this property. So the previous owner couldn't really make a project work here and has sold it to ICCF. So ICCF will be doing a project at this location now. So just some background on the project. So the plan is to rehab the vacant portion of the building, which is sort of this long back half here. The front commercial space is a post office, and that is going to stay there on Eastern and Burton. Total development cost is expected to be $4.2 million with construction costs of $3.2. The plan is to have 15 apartments in the building with rents that range anywhere from 50 to 70% AMI. And there are also some project-based vouchers associated with this project. And then I'm, just as a note on the LBRF, so this would be considered as what we would call a priority project in your LBRF policy. So this is one that, we've been working on for some time, as I mentioned, and it's a very small ask for traditional activities that include demolition, asbestos abatement, and then public infrastructure improvements. So we're recommending that to you as a priority project. It's bringing affordable housing, and hopefully this will also be another another really great, impactful project on that Burton and Eastern corridor. It's just across Burton from M Village, so right on that same street there. Happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Dakota Reel from ICCF to come up and share as well.
Good morning. I'm not Dakota Reel. I'm Jan Vanderwoord. That's Dakota Reel, right? Oh, there she is, yeah. So we're two of the people that work at ICCF. Been doing affordable housing work for 50 years in this community, based in Southeast Grand Rapids. This is a strange one for ICCF because we were invited to a party that had already started, and it's been a really great opportunity. So I think some credit is definitely due to Pinnacle Construction for seeing an opportunity where a deal was falling apart and then contacting us and seeing if we could be a better fit for it. So last year, we were in contact with James Lewis and Michael Garrett from Pinnacle saying this project already has that RAP funding in place, doesn't work for the previous owner because of some tax implications, and you guys work in this corridor. And I think that was the immediate draw for ICCF, is that our footprint is here. We have other developments on Eastern Avenue as is. We have a history in the Seymour Square area. We're doing a development in Alger Heights. So this fits within the parameters of where we do property management and where we try to serve with affordable infill. Also, it's an existing building, so it's not going to shock the system to build a big new structure in a neighborhood that's not ready for it or not feeling like they want to welcome that. Everybody knows this building. We've all dropped mail off here before. And the back half of it, that sort of shotgun format, being inactive for so many years, the back part, really excited to do a simple new construction here where we have 15 units. And typically, development groups like ICCF would try to work programs like the low-income housing tax credit into this. It would never fund. It would never work for a number of reasons. One being that it's small. 15 units is small for a new construction development like this in a space like this. But because of the RAP funding through MEDC, we were also able to acquire My Neighborhood's funds through MISHTA, which is really sort of trying to fit in the middle where LIHTC doesn't work and where single family wouldn't be an option. And then city support programs such as Oprah, the Brownfield grant that we're here for today and hopeful for. And then there's also support from the Southtown CIA. So we're pumped about it. We're sort of ready to go. We've got the plans largely complete. Dakota told me that we're at about 21% minority and women-owned business participation in this, which is higher than you'll get on a lot of big projects. We can open doors for contractors that are at a different scale in a project that's this size. Again, I don't know how often we would be able to do these. We would love to do projects this size if we could, but it's really hard to bring all of the capital stack into place. Jess referenced that the Grand Rapids Housing Commission has issued vouchers for some of the units, which helps elevate rents, also guarantee housing for them, but makes some of those high construction costs more manageable based on the rent levels. So post office stays. We're going to try to have not even a single day disruption during construction for them because it is the United States Post Office and they got to stay. And we're going to have fun too. We're going to try to get a mural on the side of the building and work with the neighborhood and community to figure out what works well and helps be a welcoming visual presence in that Seymour Square area. So thank you for your consideration of this and happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Yes.
My coffee, that's your coffee.
Thanks, Jan. This is great to see the adaptive reuse of this building in the neighborhood for those reasons that you mentioned. It's interesting, the layout, obviously, with the fronts of those units facing the parking and the side of the building. Are you envisioning these as kind of like a live-work type of model? Or will there be will units have 2 floors or some on the top?
So the original plan that you may have seen before was for a live-work concept. We're doing accessible units on the first floor, and we'll make sure that there's adequate visual screening while still being window access on the side, and then the upstairs will have their own units. So there's no two-story units in the building. We don't have an elevator in this building, so it's more of a simple traditional apartment format, but then again, we have all of those units that are on the first floor being accessible, and there's shared laundry in the basement, and then the accessible units have them in unit as well.
Great.
So it was really an exercise of how much can we fit to comfortably. The north side of the building, the side that you can't see in the rendering here, is a shared wall. So we're sort of inhibited that way too, at least on the first floor level. I think that Pinnacle's done a great job designing around a funky old building with some weird columns located here and there, but it's solid. It already has a new roof. There's, the facade, the awning in front of the post office is going to get redone. That's pretty tired. And then we'll do some seating and stuff in the front near where the flagpole is shown, just to make it a little bit more, more functional for how it already works really well, which is that neighborhood post office space. So lots and lots of parking on this site. So it's more parking than we want. It just came with the land. And it wraps around, if you're familiar, or maybe you are guilty of, using it as a cut-through over to Burton, which everybody in the area loves to do. That's going to stop. That comes from the city. It's already through LUD's permit, but angled parking along the side of the building here, and then there's some shared parking with adjacent businesses that front on Burton around the backside. So a very odd site.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay. All right. If no other questions, can I get a, let me call the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Awesome. I'm just clicking right through here. Thank you for taking on the project. Sounds like it's going to be awesome. Thank you. Number 8, our resolution approving an Act 381 work plan and a development and reimbursement agreement for 975 Ottawa Redevelopment Project located at 975 Ottawa. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And supported. Okay.
All right. So this project came before you at your September 25th, 2024 meeting. So this has now gone through the City Commission process for both the Brownfield Plan Amendment as well as a 12-year OPRA certificate. So just a reminder, this is a rehab of an existing functionally obsolete building into an entertainment facility with bocce ball, outdoor seating, event space, kind of a cool, unique project. Total eligible activity reimbursement requested is just over $1 million on this project, and the Brownfield plan is expected to remain in place for the full 30 years. Happy to take any questions. Otherwise, this is sort of the last local approval process or step before we send it on to the state for approval.
Questions? No? I've been in this building. It's very interesting. It's going to be really cool to see it come to life again. If there, yes.
I'll just add one thing because I feel bad sometimes. We get to, I think we've heard a lot about this project too. I know Mark has been very active in making sure people know about it. I think it's a great reuse of the space. It is enormous. But I also know that they've been working really closely with the business association over there, as well as with the nearby Noble neighborhood association. So I really appreciate their efforts. Just I think just recognizing it's going to be a very large space. There's a lot of stuff going on over there, as well as like Corwell. But appreciate those efforts just to make sure people are aware of the redevelopment. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, then I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Number 9, approval of invoices for 900 West Leonard LLC.
Good morning, thank you.
I need a motion first.
Oh, sorry.
Or do I? Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
Okay. And supported. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, sorry, my fault. Thank you very much. This is different from the many other projects this morning that are on the front end of development. This is a request brought to you for 900 W. Leonard LLC, also known as Victory on Leonard, that was completed by Compass Property Development. We have with us Jack Hodeman this morning. The project is now complete, and I have reviewed the invoices for eligible brownfield costs in the amount of $1,143,403 for the activities listed. This building contains 120 apartments across almost 79,000 square feet, also 1,500 square feet of retail space. Total investment was almost $21 million. 8 jobs were created with the project, and the inclusion plan participation was almost 12%. So with that, I'll let Jack describe more about the project, and flip through some photos here as well.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, and I want to first and foremost say that the things that you guys are doing here today are absolutely making these projects happen, because, you know, with the delays and some of the cost overruns and things that we had, like the Brownfield credit on this project is saving this project. This 120 units would not exist without some of these Brownfield eligible activities that you guys are doing. So thank you so much for your work, and very excited about that new emerging developer program and seeing how it's impacting the city. But yeah, this was the old YMCA that we knocked down and then used that just over an acre to create 120 units plus 1,500 square feet of retail. What we're looking at here was the basement of the YMCA, and working with Ted Lott at Lot 3 Mets, he was like, this is a real opportunity to create a lot of amenity space to really make a community that's here. So we've got this great community room, a workout facility, there's self-storage on site, there's indoor bike storage for 120 units, there's a package room there. So we're really proud of the product that we're delivering to the community and how it's creating a community. Thank you. So, and again, we've been working on this since 2020, and to now finally do it. And we were also very excited and thankful for how quickly it leased up. So once those, ended up doing it in 2 phases, and each one of those phases leased up in less than 6 months. So certainly a lot of demand for the studios and 1-bedrooms, as well as for the price points. The studios are right around $1,000 a month, so that seems to be a real key price point, to be around that 100% of AMI or 90% of AMI to deliver this product to the market. So, and with that, do you have any questions?
Wow. It's got to feel good to be completed.
Amen. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
Has the retail space been filled yet?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. We, for a second there, we thought Bagel Kitchen had expressed some interest in it, and ultimately it wasn't big enough. So they are on that Leonard corridor. They found some space up the street. So Cottage Inn Pizza looked at it. So there's been some interest, but it just we haven't found the right person for the right amount of space. And yeah.
All right. Thank you.
It'll come.
Yes.
It'll come. Anybody else?
Just congratulations, Jack. You know, I have seen your work, you know, and all the time invested and the resources, and definitely, you know, it's an asset, you know, adding, you know, a great value to our community. So thank you.
Yeah, we've watched that building go through quite a changeover multiple times over the past years. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming down and giving us your input. And congratulations. Okay, so I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of invoices? Aye. Aye, opposed? Great, congrats. Okay, our next is an approval of an amendment to 2024 Environmental Site Assessment Grant application and approval for 1309 Madison Avenue Apartments project. Need a motion.
Support.
Okay.
All right, so this is a little bit of an unusual request. So typically we bring forward a new report for your approval every couple of months or so as we approve ESA grants. This application was approved by this board in fiscal year 2024. And so the request before you is to amend that application for just some additional costs that were unexpected as part of that grant. So this is a grant that was approved for ICCF for their 1309 Madison Avenue Apartments project. So the grant included a Phase 1, Phase 2 BEA due care plan for 3 properties for a total cost of $56,600. As they were doing this work, and as a result of the amount of properties, additional testing that was needed, and lender requirements, the cost just came in a little bit higher than what they were expecting. So they've asked us to amend that grant request. So the total new request is $65,200, and the allocation for fiscal year 24 still had about $140,000 left in it, and those funds are what we call encumbered in our system, so they're still available to be used for this grant. So this will not impact your fiscal year 2025 allocation for this program. Happy to take any questions.
No questions? I guess I have one. I don't remember seeing this before. This just doesn't happen very often, is that?
Yeah, we don't typically, so typically if we amend an ESA application, it does happen in the same fiscal year. So this is just a little bit different. It's crossing a fiscal year. So that's why it's probably not as familiar. But we have done it in the past where we've come back in the same fiscal year and increased an amount. So it's happened a couple of times, but not very often.
All right, great. Any questions? If not, can I get all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, you got it. Thank you. Okay, now we have a request to go into a closed session to talk about a legal issue. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Support.
Okay, all those in favor?
Actually, we need to do a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So last time we went into closed session, we went in the room in the back. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, sure.
So Jeff Edwards, Troy Butler, and Brooke Oosterman.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from December 11th?
So moved.
Lynn, can you turn your mic on? Sorry, we just
Sorry.
got asked for the stream.
Thank you. I need a election of officers motion, please.
I'll make a motion to move the slate that is presented in our packet.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we're going to, can I get a motion for the approval of the amended Grand Rapids Land Bank Authority bylaws?
So moved.
Thank you. Now we'll go over these.
Thank you. I just want to commend everyone for being here and thank you for your service. It's a cold morning. So the follow-up on this one is related to the last month board meeting. So I sent I actually polled both Jessica and our internal attorney that's been helping us stand up the land bank for feedback on the bylaws with the general question around, hey, how much can we emulate what we're already doing with the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority bylaws? And so for the most part, the changes are minimal, I would say, but I sent the minutia to the subcommittee, and Madam Chair, you in specific had a ton of great feedback, including removing, references to snail mail as a form of communication to all of you, which I appreciate. And so I'm happy to take any specific questions on that minutia, but generally I would say these are emulating the BRA where we can, and anticipate more specific policies around items like the conflict of interest, as there is a specific reference to establishing a code of ethics policy, which we anticipate doing at a separate time.
Okay, are there questions?
I just wanted to talk about item 3.6. I guess it would be that second sentence, if the Board of Directors by majority vote of directors present determines a conflict exists, the interested director shall further refrain from participation in the authority's action related to the matter. So is that voting process in our current bylaws for the Brownfield, or?
I don't know if there's a specific voting requirement. I know that that's definitely in our land bank bylaws. And there was in the last version a reference to actually written disclosure, but we changed that to just be verbal. So I would imagine it would just be a verbal mention.
And this says that we would have to, if the Board of Directors by majority vote of directors present determines a conflict.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay.
It's just not what we do
It's
for
different.
Brownfield.
It's different
Than Brownfield,
yes.
so I thought we
Yes.
were wanting to be consistent. So I wondered if this sentence ought to be removed.
Can I offer just a thought of why it might be, I don't know if, why it might be different? Is this, certainly, I was just thinking about the different items that might come up with the Land Bank Authority and who might acquire different pieces. So I don't know if that was taking a look at it, but I was just going to say, Lynette, yeah, that would be different than what we are presently doing, so.
Yeah, it's also taking bits and pieces from the intergovernmental agreement, which requires, again, the authority to establish policies and procedures around disclosure. And so I think we're trying to be generic here in the bylaws with the intention of creating a separate and more specific policy that would reflect both the conflict of interest within that code of ethics policy.
So this would go beyond what we're doing at our Brownfield Authority because we're asking for a specific vote versus stating it and determining it. I'm fine with it staying that way if it's more, and understand that it may be different because of some of the requirements.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? I know it's kind of hard just sitting here looking at it. Let me make a statement, and then I would encourage our commissioner and board here to add any additional information she has. But if any of you watched the city commission meeting recently, it is apparent that we will not be managing the land bank. The mayor has very different ideas of creating its own board, which is the only reason I really don't care what's in here, because they're going to change it. And they're going to change it to fit what they need and what's good for them, which is awesome. I mean, they should. I am a little upset because I'm not even on this committee, and I've spent a lot of time on this. And I don't understand why we weren't told this from the beginning. It's obvious he's done a lot of research, which is awesome. I'm not upset with the way he wants to handle this or anything, but I am a little perturbed that we're taking on an awful lot that is going to be changed in the future, and we weren't notified of this from the beginning. So if you could help me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I would say two things. One, I think there was a lot of, I'll just say gossip, for lack of a better word, prior to Mayor LeGrand joining, that there were going to be changes, that he saw a different vision for the land bank. I would say that there was also the conversation that myself had with Mayor Bliss, that we needed to do some of this work so that we could beat the clock for what was happening at the county level.
Exactly.
And so I think both of those things were true, is that we knew we wanted to stand this up. But that didn't mean just sort of doing one piece, that there was a number of things to do. It wasn't until I think last week that prior to the city commission meeting, that I said to Mayor LeGrand, I'm hearing different things I'd like to know because I serve on the Brownfield Authority, and there have been the people on this body have done a lot of work to get this to a certain place. And I think there's both a short-term and a long-term plan here. What needs to happen right now, which needs to continue, and then what might happen in the future. I think there's a number of things that I think any one commissioner, even the mayor, can want to do, but it still would require the decision of the full commission. So there are a couple of things that probably some of us might be in disagreement of, i.e., how many appointees the mayor has versus city commission.
Right.
And then the bigger question is the budget that exists at the city level. So even if, even if there's things, and I would agree, I think the vision that he has, using it as a tool, have no disagreement on that.
Absolutely.
I do think, let's recognize the work that's been done. We had to go fast in a short term, and then we can think about what the vision is. So I feel comfortable saying this all in a public meeting. I said this to him, and I said a variation of it, probably in our city commission meeting as well, because I've had a chance to think about it a little bit more too. So that's what I've asked. And I even said, I'm happy to sort of remove my seat if it brings somebody else to help in this transition. I think that's not necessarily a decision that's there. So I intend to stay until this is fully into, if it is, and going to be into that separate land bank authority. So I think it was a case of, I don't think there was any malicious intention. I think it was what somebody wants to do, but also remembering that it has to go through the appropriate approval process and budgeting process, and
timeline.
And the timeline. And so that's what I've just shared with the mayor. And I think I do think that feedback was accepted. I will say that, and I think has a lot of great ideas, knows a lot about this space. So I think we're going to be good to have that perspective. But let's not forget that that's exactly what I said. People have given a lot of time and energy to make this happen. And if we wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't be in this place to be able to do that. So I would agree with your comments about that.
Okay. I also sent an email to the mayor yesterday asking for some sort of a timeline on what he's looking at so that we know how much is going to be expected of us that, quite frankly,
Great.
I feel like is a waste of our time. It's not necessarily a waste of staff's time because hopefully they will be a part of this. There's so much synergy between the topic and the Brownfield and things that are available. But to put together any other, what did we talk about? Like the procedures and things like that is,
Right.
I mean, for us to do that for a different body is just kind of goofy.
Sure.
But I unfortunately got an email back while we were in the other room from the secretary saying, oh, I didn't realize you needed this today. Do you still need it? And I said, well, we're starting our meeting. It would be nice. But I don't have a response. So do you have, I understand we had to get the bylaws. We had to do those things. And happy to help get that rolling. But I'm a little worried about us doing too much more.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair, and I think that is something that we talked about, I think, at the city commission meeting. We do have a special session tomorrow, which is sort of a preempt of our mid-year review, and I imagine that this might be sort of a precursor of like all of us, there's half of the commission is
Yes,
new, working
new.
together, reiterating the aspects of our, council manager form of government. But I know thinking about that forward piece of the budget. So in my head, I think we can put those, I think it would be good to know, they always ask us, what is everybody thinking? And I think the general sentiment is, yes, like there would be a vote to support it being a separate land bank. I don't think that's.
It sounded that way.
But I think the budgetary piece, which certainly we change things mid-year, but I think this might be more significant. I would say this might be getting closer to the fiscal start. Yeah, and so, but I think it would be perfectly fine to go back to, I'm happy to do that, and I know we can work with the deputy city manager as well, Sarah's upline, Ms. Renero's upline, to say, these are the things that we absolutely had to do, these other pieces, we want to respect the time and energy of the current Brownfield Authority, and like what is, this is absolute, and then these are things that the new body would have to take up. I think that is more than reasonable to propose.
Yeah, and maybe this is a question for staff. If we don't have policies and procedures until June, what are the chances that we're going to be seeing, the action items on this before then, other than maintenance and accepting properties kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we've been in build the plane as we are trying to fly it mode, which I recognize is not the greatest way to operate, but anticipated to kind of keep moving on this adventure where we would build out some of the meat and potatoes alongside the subcommittee.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you. That's okay.
And so I feel like the stuff in front of you today is administrative and also with the option agreement, making good on what we've been working towards. But I would agree with the sentiment that due to those other factors that are percolating, I think we want to just get a handle on what that actually means, because I wouldn't want to leverage any more time if it makes sense to put that elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, everything you've got on here today is just a process thing, but I don't want to be doing work that somebody else should be doing to meet their own needs.
And so so we have our next meeting, we're trying to do these every other month, right? To couple or to pair with the Economic Development Corporation. So the next meeting would be March, and I hope, especially with your correspondence, that we have more specific information well before that so that we can make a plan.
Yeah.
And if you would help with that,
absolutely.
That would be great.
Yep, I've shared that directly with Mayor LeGrand. I've shared that with the city manager as well. And I think that this meeting tomorrow, it probably will be addressed, and if not, then we'll certainly make sure. But that sentiment has been felt. At one point, I just said, I just got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I have one foot in the city commission side and then one foot
Sure.
on this, and seeing that, and certainly felt the same way that you did, Lynn. Thank you.
Yeah, it was obvious from watching that portion of the meeting, so I appreciate that. And, yeah, I don't want to duplicate things.
Sure.
And I don't want you
Understood.
to have to duplicate
Understood.
things. Okay, perfect. So we're at the land bank bylaws. I think in looking over them, they've addressed all of the issues we had with the treasurer signing things and the secretary, all of that stuff has pretty much gone away. And I think that was the biggest concerns. And so I appreciate the work you guys did on that to catch up on those concerns. Otherwise, are there any other questions or worries that weren't changed? Okay, awesome. Then I'll I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Perfect. Got that done.
Okay, awesome.
Now I need a resolution to approve ongoing legal services for the land bank.
So moved.
Support. Okay.
Awesome. So we anticipate legal services and maintenance, which is the next item, to be the two biggest expenditures for us. And we have totaled those to be around $65,000 last year. And so this first contract with Bloom Sluggett is very flexible in nature. We are taking recommendations both within City Hall as well as external as far as this firm, and most attracted to the timing of their availability, which is immediate, and the capabilities to move quick. And finally, the flexibility to terminate at any time. And so this is a pretty simple contract that we would like to lean on them for items like the Code of Ethics and other items that the body deems fit, but wanted to put administrative approval on this so that we can engage them on a more formal level.
As needed. Okay, so you said it's 65 in the past that you've spent on this, and that the city commission will consider that as well as whatever happens going forward.
For both the maintenance of the property portfolio and legal services, actually, we haven't had legal services, have we yet, Jess?
Well,
Okay, we're anticipating it to be around $65,000.
oh, okay.
So that's more property maintenance. I don't mean to muddy that.
Well, you've got some legal time in this, too.
Right. Shout out to Mike Hooker, who's been
Yeah,
assisting.
I will let the city commissioner worry about that. There's a reason they have limits here. Okay, so is there any questions about the legal contract?
Do we need a reading of the resolution or not? No.
Haven't done that.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to approve contracting with Bloom Sluggett for legal services for the Land Bank Authority. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Madam Chair, I do have to step out in about 4 minutes to another meeting.
Okay, so quickly.
Well,
The next, I need a motion to approve property maintenance contract with Building Bridges.
so moved.
Okay, quickly.
For the maintenance contract, we put a bid out in December, and we had two firms. We're recommending both of them today because we think there will be enough work. The contract is an annual $50,000 contract with the ability to renew for 1 year. And these firms are also working under the auspice of the city already, and so it was a nice pairing.
Okay. And I will change that to include Next Steps of West Michigan, sorry, to the motioner. Okay, are there any questions? there aren't any questions, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. The next is a resolution terminating the land bank agreement and approving the acquisition of 107 properties.
Yes, I'll make this
Motion,
quick.
please.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll make this quick, Madam Chair. So this is basically terminating the agreement that was established back in December of 19, and it's a three-party agreement between the city, the Michigan State Land Bank, and the Grand Rapids Land Bank Authority. And so you're seeing the draft termination agreement, the listing of properties, which actually I would just call to attention that there was some wonkiness within the system of Minute Track and getting those out to everybody. So we have hard copies of the portfolio that we can share. And City Commission will also be looking at this on Tuesday next week, as they also need to bless it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And this is, I need a motion for a 12-month option agreement with 443 Sheldon LLC.
So moved.
Okay.
All right, I'll be quick also. So this just is a great example of a really good pairing with the Land Bank Authority and the Brownfield Authority. So this is a project or a property that you reserved at your last meeting for this individual who has been working towards getting an option agreement. They have since provided preliminary financial information. They've worked with the planning department to get a sort of sign off on their plans for the property. And they've also submitted preliminary cost estimates, which is what we need to satisfy our side of things to get them into a 12-month option agreement. So what we're asking for is approval of a 12-month option with this LLC for this property. And the project will come back before the Land Bank Authority at the time when they're ready to actually purchase this with the final project details. But just real quick, they're planning a multifamily development, and this is a first-time developer. So we expect them to come to the BRA seeking emerging developer support and probably a Brownfield plan as well.
Awesome. Any questions? We'll see this one again. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All those opposed? Other business? Okay. We're adjourned, but not until I say thank you very, very much, Jessica. You will be missed.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks for making this flawless. All right.
Thank you.